Yes. Yeah, this is the video. We want to talk about a brief class method and constructor. Aside from class method and constructor, we want to talk about the class Enum, and we are going to talk about the mapper. But today I'm going to talk about a class method and constructor. And I will do a brief introduction to various Java collection framework together with some data type we have in Java. So I'm using IntelliJ to create a project. I just start a new project. I'll create a new project by going here. You can as well create a project in, I'm using a Mac. So you can as well create a project using any of the ID you are comfortable with. Let's say class method example. So I can put the name of my package here. So I'm going to put it, I want to create using this new window, whatever you want to, option you want to choose. If I decide to go by this window, it means that it is going to create another project with a new window option. Otherwise, it will close the existing window and use this to replace it. So if I want to write, this is the project structure. A project structure used to have like this. But in typical application, every organization used to have their own, every organization used to have its own pattern of a project structure management. So some organization will have something we call, you create a package, and the package is like a directory that will now separate your project. So when you look at this package, I can call this one a mapper. I can come here and create another package and call it a DTO. You can call main and create another package. You can call it a DAO, data access object. So we can come in and create another package. You can call it a util. This package is separated. This package is separated this thing. The packages separated the full project specific application need, so that whatever DTO you need, you put it here. So even inside DTO, you can still create some package so that, take for example, you are working with payroll, you can create a DTO called payroll, so that everything under can come in and say, okay, this is a payroll. So I can still come under a DTO and create another package and call it users. So it means that under this, I may not decide to create classes there. So let's go by this. Let's first write a program. Let's say so out. Welcome to Java tutorial. So I'm going to run this and I see. So we'll look at the log here to see the output. And you see now that we now have welcome to Java tutorial here. So, but what we really want to talk about is class method and constructor. So I'm going to create another package which I will call a model. So in the model, I'm going to put all my distance there. Let's put our classes there. So let's first create a class. A Java class constructor, every classes have different, used to have a class member, the method, the constructor. So when we talk about a class, take for example, we say, okay, this is a employee. Let's create a class called employee. This is employee. This is the access identifier for the employee, which can be private, it can be public, it can be protected. So this employee must have a member. So let's say the member of the employee, or let's say, okay, we change this from employee to a person. Let's say we say, okay, person. So the name of this class has been changed to person now. When you look at the members of the person, we can say, okay, my name, my address, my phone number, this and that. So now, when you say, okay, those are the members of the person. So if I want to create a members for this, I can say, okay, a private string name, I can say a private string phone, private string email, private string department. So private with, let's say, DOB. These are the members of this class for now. So, and a class will now have constructor. And when you now look at the constructor for the class, let's give this an ID. Let's say ID. So these are the members. So we may decide to create different constructor. A constructor will have the same name as the class, and the constructor may have argument, and constructor may not have what argument. So, and we have this constructor, a constructor without argument. So if you look at this, I can create a constructor. Remember, a constructor will have the same name as the class. This is the constructor. This constructor doesn't have an argument. So it means if I'm working on here, if I'm working here, I can easily call person P equal to new person. So it means that it has a constructor without what argument. So, and I can come in again and create a constructor with a argument. Let's say I put integer id here. So I can say this dot id is equal to id. What we mean by this is this. That is, the id here is equal to whatever I pass here. So whatever I pass here will be equivalent to this. So it means that I can still come here and create a person P2. Let me say P2 person. So if you look at it, it means that if you look at in the IntelliJ will tell you, oh, so it means that it IntelliJ have a powerful, it has a powerful code completion features. So it means that I can create an employee and pass an ID one there. So I can say, okay, pass the ID one there. So that's another constructor. So you may decide to have a class that has other constructor based on what you need, based on the application requirement, based on what you think it's good. So you can have as many constructors as possible. I can say string name, I can say string phone, I can say string name, string phone, string email. So if we are to initialize this constructor, we now say this dot name is equal to name, this dot phone is equal to phone, this dot email is equal to email. Please take note, this may be email address. So it means that when you are initiating it, you can comment. Likewise, this I can say full name. So it doesn't matter, means that they have to be the same name. I can comment. Likewise, this one, you can change it accordingly. So it means that this method now, this person now, it has a member variables of this, and it has three constructor. This is one constructor, this is second constructor, and this is the third constructor. So you can have as many constructor as what possible. But you can't have a constructor that have the same data type and the same number of variable. Take for example, if I want to have a constructor that still have, even despite that I want to put department. Let me change this to department. So now it is complaining now because there is already a defined we already have constructor that have the same data type. Look at this: full name, the phone, and department, even though they have different meaning or in the context to which you want to use them. So as long as the constructor have the same data type and the same number of argument, so it's going to raise alarm that, oh, hey, this is an error. So I may decide to change this and put an integer. Let's say, okay, ID. I can say, okay, this dot ID is equal to what? ID. So it, because now the data type of this one is string, this one is integer, so it will take it. So this is one of the best one of the good features of Java. Like in a JavaScript, you can only have one constructor there. So it's not possible for you to have a constructor. And we are going to come to a stage where I will explain what we call method overloading, which since my experience as JavaScript, I've not found a way to use a method overloading because the feature is not supported. So now it means that you can have this person created in different way. That is what we call constructor. I can create this person without passing any argument. I can create this person by passing one argument. I can create this person by passing 3 arguments, that is the full name, the phone, and the ID. Likewise, I can equally create a person that have the full name, phone number, and email address. So if we are to go by this, it means that here, I may decide to say, oh, I want to create a person that has a full name, phone, and what? Email. So I can say, okay, person p2 is equal to new person. So I will now decide to pass the actual value. Full name, let's say Matthew Musa. Phone, I can say this, and then email, I can say Musa at swipe.ng. Now we can see now that this one takes a constructor, so that you understand that, oh, a class can have different constructor and we can pass different value to it. But now these are the members of this class. How do you now get access to the function? Functions are the feature, are the functionality that this person perform. A function will tell, a function of my body will say, oh, I can say, oh, this is my name. I can say, okay, okay, maybe I want to get my name. If anybody asks me that, okay, what is my name? I have to return my name, that, oh, my name is this. So that is a function. If a function a main, return my name. So we need to find a way to return a name and to return the name of this person. So what this person perform, the function that this person perform, the function that this person perform is what we call a method in Java. And you can see here now, you see that IntelliJ is very, very intelligent. You see this color with a yellow, some kind of yellow. You see this color, it means that you have not used this method, you have not used this in any of the method, in any of the core. So it means that we have made use of this, we have made use of this, we have made use of this, but this has never been put into use. So that is what intelligence is saying. That's why we see this one with some kind of gray color, so that you'll be able to know that, oh, I have not used this stuff before. And so if we are to go by this, we want to create a method and look at the method signature. The signature is the method is our access identifier. You put the method return type, then the method name. So if I'm to go by this, I can say, okay, access fire return type, and say method name, you open this, param, you pass this, and then you have opening and closing brace. Whatever you want to return, you return. This is a method with a return type. There are other methods that we can say, okay, there are methods without return type. Maybe a method without return type. I'm going to explain that. So I can say have access modifier, and say return type. Since it is a method without return type, here will be void. Method name. You may have parameter, you may not have parameter. Here, param, if it require, it's not necessary. And then your function body here, the body here. So remember, a method that returns a value, it means that that value can still be used by another method or by another function call. So if any method call this method, that method can still make use of the value returned by this. So, and the essence of returning a function, a value in a method is to use it for further processing. So, and this return type can be a primitive data type or a class that you have created. It can be a class that you have created. It can be a collection of the class you have created. What I mean by collection of the class you have created is it may be a list, it may be a map, it may be other type. So it can be a file, it can be any of the Java supported class library. So you can have your user define data type here. So now, if we want to create, take for example, we want to create a method that return the name of this person, we can say, okay, the access identifier, what I want to make here is public. I can say public. My return type, what is the return type? Since I know that, oh, this method is going to return a name, I can say, okay, what the data type for the name is a string. I can say, okay, the method name, I can say, okay, get name. I may decide to say get full name. Oh, my method I don't want my method to have a parameter, to have an argument. So I can say, okay, return this dot what name. So let's go and try it out and see what is going on. If I say SO out, let's decide to say, okay, let's say the full name is this. We want to concatenate it to get full name. Do you now say that whenever you create a method, you are going to use the dot operator to access the method under that class? Now, you can have as many methods as what possible. So it means that the full name I got here, I decide to print it out here. I decide to print it out here, but look at this. Let's try and run this and see the result it will give us. Let's try and rerun this again. You see, the full name is what? Is null. The reason is we have a constructor without argument. We've not passed any parameter into this constructor. Likewise, if we decide to go by the second one, so out full name is this. Say p2.p1 get full name. So if we still run this, and we are going to see the result now. You see, we have full name, no, this one, no. The reason is this, I have to explain this clearly. When we create this constructor, we did not pass a full name as the argument here. And when we create the second constructor, we only pass the identity of that person there. So we have not, there is never been a place where we initialize this name here. Don't forget that though we say, oh, a full name, I can decide to say, okay, get name instead of full name. So it means that I'm going to make a correction here to be get name. Likewise this, so that this is where I make use of it. You see, IntelliJ is cool because you can easily go to where there is issues and correct it. So it means that I have one method under this, and the name of the method is what? Get name. And the return type of the method is this. So, and the access modifier is this. My method did not have any argument yet. So likewise, when you look at this constructor did not have any argument. Because when you see this name, the name will always be not, as long as you did not put a variable. But now we may decide to say, oh, the name is Swipe Tech Limited. Let's try and run the project again and see what it will give us. Can you see now? The both bring what? Swipe Tech Limited, because I initialize this with a particular name. But if we decide to go by the second constructor, or by the third constructor, or the fourth constructor, let's create another instance. Okay, we have an instance we created. We can say, okay, so add the full name from use this. So I'm going to say p2.get name. So if we are to run this, we are going to say a different value. So you can see that the full name is what? Martin. Why we see the full name to be Martin is this. I'm going to explain this. If you come here, we make use of this constructor because this is a data type, string. So when you look at what we pass here, so that you'll be able to know that, oh, we're actually making use of the fourth constructor. This is a string, this is a string, this is a string. So if we are to make use of this, means that this constructor must have an integer at the end of it. So what we do is, it means that whatever value we have here, even if you have a default value, if you don't have default value, the value will always be null. The compiler will try to initiate it in the constructor that, oh, whatever I pass here, equate it to be name. That is, rewrite whatever we have on the name to be what I pass to it. So I remember what we are getting. We try to get a name and we return this. And from here, from this constructor call, you have already initialized the name to be what? Matthew. And the method, when you get, you initialize the name to be what? To be what? Matthew Musa. And when you get this method, you know, oh, get me a name. And what this method does is, it returns the name. Remember that this name has been equate to what? This in this constructor code. That is why we are able to get Matthew Musa. I hope you will understand this. So from here now, you have with the little understanding we have about a method. Let's try and add another members of this class and call it a double salary. Let's create a method that modify the state of this salary. I can say public void set salary. So whatever I pass, I can put another double check. So if you look at this now, like in the constructor, we can pass so many variables. Likewise, we can call it pass so many variables, but this is a method. The name of this method is set salary. So I change the state of this salary. So if I'm to come here, I say p.set salary, if I call it 2000. So it means that if I say so out salary, ap dot get salary. I don't have a method that return the salary. So we can go there and create a method that returns the salary. I can say public because I know my salary, what's the data type for my salary is double. I have to put a double, I can say get what? Salary. So I'm going to return this. I'm going to return the salary. So if I return this the salary, I can come here and say, oh, p dot get salary. So if I get salary, because in the p I've set the salary to be what this. So if I decide to run this, I'm going to get this value that I pass here as salary. But if I decide to say, okay, so hard salary two, if I say P1, P2 dot what get salary. So it's going to give me no, because there has never been a place where we initiate this salary. But we can come and say, okay, come here and I say, okay, P2 dot set salary. So if you run it now, you can see now that we pass another. Can you see it? So that is a method. You can create a method and you can create a constructor. But notice that a class we always have what we call member. A class we have constructor. A class we have methods. Those are the three important aspects of the class that we have quickly checked about now. We have quickly checked on now. And I'm going to create, there is another class we call, there is another class, but we don't call it class, we call it Enum, a constable interface that we can use to create a constant. We can use to create constant. Take for example now that, okay, oh, this department, I want to create Elon for this department. Let's say I can say, oh, what I want to do, create is Enum, is not this. I can say, okay, departments. Remember, I make it to be, we made it to be what? Department. I can say, okay, make everything capital. Since it is an Elum, I can say, okay, engineering. I can say library. I can say, okay, medical. I can say, we can say, okay, database. Let's give it a good department, and we can decide to say, give it a good department, and we can find another name here to give it to this department. Or I'm trying to see another name I can give here. Let's say, okay, let's say marketing. If you look at this, this is the Enum, and the Enum can equally have a constructor, it can have a method, but I'm going to explain that in the next phase of this tutorial. I just want to explain what this Enum is. So these Enums are the constant you define within your application. Forget about this guy telling us that we've not used this. So let's say we have within our class here, we come here and so we want to have a constructor. Take for example, we want to have a constructor that have a department or a method that have set department. We can create a method and say, okay, public void set department. I can say, okay, whatever department I pass here, set equate it to be the department I define in the members of the class is equal to department. It means that the department I define here at the top is equivalent to whatever I pass here. So even if this department have a let's say commerce before, so if this department have banking before, immediately I call this method, it will change the state of this department to whatever I pass to it here. Let me create another main class so that this will not be rough. Let's see. So here I can say publish static void domain. Press the tab. Just press PSVM, then press tab so that you get it. So we can equally say, okay, I have a person here. Person. So we are making use of a constructor without argument. So I can come here now and say, oh, we want to set department. I can say p dot set department. See, we can set the department to be what? Library. So I can say, okay, so out. We don't currently have a method that gets the department. So we can come in and say, oh, get me the department. Data type of this department is a string. I can say get what? Department, so that when I get department, I can now return this dot what? Department. The department at the top, I'm still returning this department. Remember that if I change the state of this department, the return type will be the current value of the change I made. So if we now say, okay, p dot get department, and we decide to say, oh, I want to run this. Run this. Can you say that it return a library? So now, if we are to going by the Enum, instead of setting I can say, okay, department, which is Enum, dot what? Value of. I may decide to say, okay, value of. I may decide to say value, but before we do that, we're still going to come to that. Let's go by this and say, okay, so how departments dot value of department the value of return. It is trying to return to, so that if I pass the name here, let's see what it will give us now. You just try to pass the name here, library, so that you see now, no Enum constant library. So is it that you change it to what? Capital letter, so that you have it the same way you name it. So now it will not give us error now. It's going to give us the value. You can say that it still gave us what? The value. Though this, if we say value of, it means it returned the value for the Enum. It returned the what? Value for the Enum. We have library, we have this. So instead of you to say, oh, I can say, okay, this is my Enum, I can say, okay, I can say, okay, I have this, I can say, okay, public string get value. Sorry, so get value, which is a method like a class. No, I told you. So it means that if I pass the Enum here as a string, I say return value of. So it means that anytime I call this method, is going to return the value of I can say value of dot get value, value of dot. Sorry, my network disconnected. So I don't know where it stopped. I'm actually going to actually try to round up this class now. So now, but the enum here, if I want to get a department, instead of say value of, if I want to get, I can say dot value. I can say engineering dot name. This is another method so that this will return engineering. It will return engineering. I can say library dot name. So if we print all this, if we try to run all this, you see that this one return name, this one return library, and the same thing I said when you pass the name to it. So it means that these enums are different method as well that you can call to get the members of the enum. So here now I can say, okay, we can comment this out and say, oh, we want to set a department. You can say, okay, a person P is equal to new, sorry, P is equal to new person. So I can say P dot set department to be department dot engineering dot name. Because if you say department dot engineering, is going to return instance of the enum. So you have to use the name so that it will return the value of this department. Take for example, if I say SO out, let's first say, okay, SO out department dot library, so that we see what it will return. It return a library. We are just looking at it that it's a library, but it is an instance of the library. So if I say set this, you see, it's going to tell me that it is an instance. I'm trying to, the provider is department and it requires string. So I have to say value so that it will return the actual string of the inner. So here, if we decide to say, okay, pay dot get what department. So we want to get the department we assign to, or we have under that. I feel good. Department is this. So do we have error here? Yes, we're supposed to close this. Can you see now that we now have department is what engineering. So if you have several constants you want to define, it is better to make use of the enum. So you make use of the enum. I'm going to talk more about the enums in the next class. I'm going to stop this class now because I have so many other things to attend to right now. Thank you.